speaking of far-left positions, they are becoming harder to defend for Democrats, and that was abundantly made clear at the State of the Union.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens. But surely we can all agree no state can be allowed to rip children from their parents' arms and transition them to a new gender against the parents' will. Look, nobody stands up. These people are crazy.
Our next guest says these people are crazy is the exact message that Democrats should fear in the midterms. Pittsburgh-based columnist and Washington Examiner national political reporter Salena Zito joins me now. And from them not standing to the frogs, I mean, what's with the frogs, Salena? I think you nailed it, because in the voting booth, the independents and swing voters who are going to determine the midterms, let's face it, they don't want to be labeled crazy when they pick a candidate, right, Salena?
No, they don't. You know, American politics is all about contrast, right? And President Trump has always intuitively understood it in a level that you don't see with all politicians. He knows how to draw a stark line. And he also understands how the opposition may or may not react. And he maybe took a little bit of a gamble to see if they would stand up. It wouldn't have hurt him if they did. However, the Democrats decided not to on issues that are 80-20 issues that put him back into the White House. And by saying you people are crazy, it's very likely that that's what people at home were thinking. Why are they not standing up? This is crazy. And so I think it was a very, very important moment. It reminded me of when John Boehner said in 2010, "Where are the jobs?" This line is really sort of striking, and it really drives home the point that there's a difference between both sides. You might not agree with the Republicans on everything. However, the Democrats have really lost the plot.
I think it was strategic as well, Salena, for another reason. I understand the need for Republicans to drive home their economic message. It's definitely something that they have to do between now and the midterms. But realistically, people have to feel that quote-unquote message in their wallets, in their pocketbooks, before they're going to truly believe it, right? But when it comes to crazy, we all know crazy when we see crazy. And to your point, that's why this was so effective, Salena.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, if you saw different screenshots after and or before the speech, you saw the Democrats with sort of dramatic messages that was about how much they hated Trump and not about what fills people's pocketbooks. And there were furries and there were rap songs with swearings and vulgarities. And the American people do have to make a choice. And they don't have to always agree with you. But when they see you behaving in a way that they would never behave, that they don't want their children or grandchildren to behave, they're going to choose the side that it more aligns with what their needs are. The president talked about the economy in a number of different layers. I think that is what he wanted to appeal to the voter. And I think he hit the mark.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And the crazy message will have staying power, where I don't know if frogs and other animals are going to really have any staying power when you get to. I don't think they had any staying power beyond the moment that they had. And if they had any staying power, it was ridiculous, because we're adults, and adults are the ones that do the voting. Children are the ones that dress up like furries. Salena Zito, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.